Now, I know that we have learned all kinds of things about the buttons and about the menu items, but I want to put it together a little bit. So what I'm going to do is remind you first that there is all of this help available, because I know that I flew through these buttons and these menu items, and I know that I only talked to you about just a fraction of the things that you can do. I also want to point out that KeyPress has a wonderful overview of how to get started with Sketchpad that is found at this link. And really that's what this webinar is. I'm just doing my version of this set of steps, right? And they also have this information in a wonderful handy PDF form, which I have a link to here as well. But I want to actually do something specific with you in our last few minutes together before I talk some more about the resources and what you'll get or what you'll have access to at the end. So we talked about what it is, we talked about why teach with it just a little bit, but I want to actually do something specific with you, and I thought this was a really wonderful way to illustrate it. So you might have noticed, in addition to the Rimwe logo, the Key Curriculum logo here. And this logo was created using Sketchpad, and it's actually a visual representation of pi. And you'll notice I put here, you can make it too. So I have a link to the video, which Karen does, and it's really great. She shows you step by step how to create the logo in this video.
Hi, this is Karen Greenhouse with Key Curriculum, and I'm going to do a quick demonstration of how we used the Geometer Sketchpad to create our new logo, which is a visual representation of pi. So to do this, we started with a circle, and we placed a radius on that using our segment tool.
Okay, so I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to go to another practice. I know I have it here, but I'm going to go to another page, and I'm going to do what she tells us just to show you how easy it is to do it. I'm going to call it logo. So she told me to take the segment tool, the circle tool, I'm sorry. I'm going to change my display back to the way it was. And let me go back. My attention span was short. Oh, okay, so we made a radius using the segment tool. So notice what I'm doing here. I had it as the line tool, remember, selected. So I'm clicking and holding in order to get the three options, and then I'm selecting the one that I want. Okay, so notice that if I stop right here, this is just a segment that starts at the center of the circle, and you want to go until the circle itself is selected in order to place that endpoint on the circle itself before you let go. Okay, so I've got to there. Let's go back and see what else she says.
And then we put a point on that radius. And so basically we have two moving points here. This one.
Okay, so I need a point on the radius, so I'm going to select that, and I'm actually going to construct point on segment. I could have also done it by clicking the point tool and dragging it over there, but I just want to show you a couple of different ways. So there's my point. So this is what she's talking about. This is one free moving point, and this is another free moving point. Okay, this one is free moving also, but it adjusts the size of the circle, as does the center, and so we really want two other points, ones that don't dictate the size of the circle for this particular thing.
That moves around the circle, and this one that moves on the radius. And these 2 points create the design of pi. We're basically keeping track of how many times this point on the circle rotates fully around the circle and how many times this point on the radius is making petals or touching the circle until it gets back to its start point. So we need to animate these 2 points. So we're going to select them, go to Edit, Action, Animate.
Okay, well, let me stop right there. So the 2 points that we're talking about, this one and this one, she said select them, display, sorry, not display, edit, action button, animation. So display, by the way, the reason I went there is because you notice that's where animate points is. Okay, so if I wanted to just animate them but not have a button to control it, that's what this does. I'll show it to you. See, this little motion controller comes up, right? And so this is what's going to happen. And I can control it like this, but this button, this controller, is not as nice and fancy as having an actual animate button. Okay, so I'm going to go to Action Buttons, Animation. Okay, so I've got the same screen up that she does. Let's see what she tells us to set.
And we've created 2 animations. Notice they have the same speed, and that is key here. You want to keep them the same speed, and we're going to leave it as it is, as our default right now. And so we have this animation button here. And basically when I hit it, those 2 points are moving around the circle while one is moving on the radius. And we are going to trace the path of the one that is on the radius. So to do that, I'm going to...
Okay, so let me stop and go ahead. She said leave it as the default setting. So just so you know, both of these are moving at medium speed, and she said that was key, right? We want it to be at the same speed in order to make the design that we're trying to get here. So notice as soon as I click OK, I have this button. Now notice how when I wanted to move this button, I'm using the select tool, of course, but I'm clicking right there at the little color bar in order to click hold and drag this button around if I want it to be in a new spot. Okay, the reason you want to do that is if you click the button itself, it's going to actually turn it on or turn it off. It's a toggle switch, right? So and this is doing exactly the same thing that that motion controller was from the other. It's just I have a nice little way to control it now on the screen for example, a student or an in-class demonstration if you were doing something like that. Okay, so she told me that I'm going to be tracing the point that is on the radius, so let's see how we do that.
Select it. And first I'm going to put both points at a start point. We'll use this as our start point. So that's our start point. And we're going to keep track of the number of rotations the one on the circle makes in the time that it takes the one on the radius to return to this start point. So we're going to move this point up here as well. We're going to trace its path as it moves. And again, we're keeping track of rotations until the point that's on the radius returns to its start. So we're going to animate and watch.
Okay, so first a couple of things were going on there. I'm going to make this my start point just like she did. So I'm going to drag this point to that start point, and I'm going to drag this point to that start point. That's the point that I want to trace. So I'm going to go to Edit, Display, and trace that point, and then I'm going to animate and watch what happens and also count. So this is the rest of what she does in the video, is talks about why this is a representation of pi. And I'm just going to let this run for a second just so you can see how it works. Okay, and I'm going to turn it off here just to show you that where we were under the movies, this is the logo itself, and if you click on make the logo here, this is one that's already set up for you and it will run. You have to be you can listen to the rest of her video to hear the explanation of why it visually represents pi, the number of petals, and the number of rotations. But you do have to be a little bit aware in order to stop it at exactly this point right here when it gets to it, because I didn't set it up quite so fancy for you that it's going to stop on its own. So you notice we're getting close, maybe about 2 more. About 1 more. There we go. And if we select the circle itself and hide that, you can see that it's looking very similar. I, of course, still have my radius in here and they took it out, but it looks very similar to the logo as the official logo as Key Curriculum is using it. Now, in my last few minutes, I'm going to talk about the resources and where to go for more help.